Short little clip with the Fender 1965 Bassman 50. One thing I noticed about this these bus caps is this additional 8 microfarad, 8 MF. I guess that's 8 microfarad, 450 volt capacitor, and it turns out that this AA165 circuit doesn't have that part. So another piece of evidence that this is at least an AA165. Okay, I have all three schematics here of the flavors of circuits for those Bassman 50s, pretty much during a transition from pre-CBS to CBS. The first one is the AA165, and that's what that Bassman 50 I have says on the tube chart, which we know that it's not. But what I found is, notice this part of the circuit right here on the AA165. Once you go to the AA165, you get this new 8 microfarad 450 volt cap, and it's on this bus. So it goes, the bus voltage goes through this 1K, then this 4.7K, and then this 27K. So they must have decided to drop the voltage of this first stage, and the first stage triode, at least. You go back here and it's at the same voltage. These two are at the same voltage, basically. Looks like both of these triodes are dropped through this 27K in the AA165. So quick peek here. Same for the AB165. They decided to drop the voltages of both these preamps. This, it looks like in the AA165, though, they have a higher voltage on this third triode that is only present on the bass instrument channel. Once you go to the AB165, both channels, both the normal and the bass instrument channels, go through this final triode. So they're summed here. So what it means is the AA165 and the AA165 won't let you jump the two channels, or in a lot of amps or some amps you can jump together the two preamp channels, but once you go to the AB165, then you can do that. Same number of triodes in the path leading up to the summing point. This 8 microfarad capacitor is located here, which is another piece of evidence that this is an AB165 or an AA165, but we know it's an AA165 because of where this thing's summed. And the amp I have, it's summed here. So there's a different number of triodes in this channel versus this channel. So you can't jump them together. They would tend to cancel each other out because each one of these stages inverts the signal. Okay, we're back to this 65 Fender Bassman 50. This thing is a beautiful amp, mostly original, and we talked about the bus capacitors, and they are all leaky. I did find that these capacitors I've never seen before. They're Industrial Condenser Corporation, called Royal Lytic Capacitor, long life, claims long life. They're 70 microfarad, 350 volt caps. They're arranged in a series right across the output of the rectifier for the bus supply. I found that neither of these register on the LCR meter. They look like one of them several hundred nanofarad, and the other one looks like a resistor. So these things, I guess, have completely failed, but you can see really bad linking going on. I've seen a lot of these Astron mini mites. I've seen these survive better than these caps here. These things have just completely ruined. It's kind of interesting because the person selling this on eBay claimed this amp worked. What I found was both of the caps were bad. This 220 ohm resistor, these bleeder resistors are in series across the same caps. this is an open infinite impedance, and the other one measures correctly. So I've just started taking this thing apart. I removed the screws, and I've taken off at least these big capacitors, and I'm going to replace them. Now that I've gotten to this point, I can check these capacitors. Now all of these have the same leaky appearance. Let me pull this off here, and you can see they have bulges on the end seals, and so chances are these caps aren't great. They're 20 microfarad caps, and they all measure around 18 microfarads, a little bit on the low side, but they look okay on the meter. This last cap, which is an 8 microfarad, measures about 6 microfarads. So all these will probably have to be swapped out. I've developed a policy where if the capacitor looks good on the meter and it doesn't seem to be leaking, I'll just leave it in the circuit, and I'll replace it if it fails in the future. If I'm fixing an amp for someone else, I would just replace these caps. There would be no questions about them. So these resistors here, I've also measured those. These all look good. All the resistors look good except this one is open. It's very interesting. And I'll flip it over and we'll take a look at the other side. Okay, this is the underside. I have already cut off the line cord. For whatever reason, the plastic was hard as a rock, and it looked like the original line cord, and I just chopped it off. I'm going to replace it with a 3-prong plug. It only had a 2-prong on it when I received it, and I think it's probably the original line cord. It was not the original plug. So I will review those diodes and see how they look. It's possible I'll replace them as well, because now that I've seen them fail in other amps, I'm a little more leery. But otherwise, this amp looks great. The wiring looks beautiful. So I'd like to leave it as original as possible. I don't know where this amp will end up in the who will own it in the end, but I will certainly keep it and play it and enjoy it. Note the knobs on this 65. Looks like the Snowman 8s, which is really cool. Has all the knobs. The front panel looks like it's in fairly good shape. And of course it says Fender Electric Instrument Company, which is really nice. Nice to see. The pre-CBS faceplate. This, I guess, was from the year that CBS purchased Fender, so they probably were using up old stock. Yes, the transformers are 65, 65, and 65 for the choke and the transformers. They appear to be original. Looks like everything is pretty much original. I haven't seen any service done to this amp, so it's kind of nice to see a completely original 65.